I'm recording as well, but I'm getting close to max storage, and I'm not sure how it deals with that. Whether it just
Probably
stops or
the
drops
same
to the
way it
floor.
deals with everything else, which is ungracefully.
Yeah.
Okay, so tech. Um, oh, this is kind of awkward. I broke a bunch of stuff, and now
Nice.
it doesn't really work. But as you can see here, I've switched over to Artifact UI, so I'm now actually able to make a UI call out to the Deno Cloud deployment, and then do all the actions, including the calls out to OpenAI and writing the results back into storage and all that. But additionally, I can also read it back to the browser. So the data structure I made to do that, I called it a splice, where a splice represents the diff that's occurred between one commit and another, so that allows you to not just get thumped with the whole file. It's just the diff that occurred from the last commit since you started watching. And so I'm able to stream those back down to the browser because that subsystem is generic. You can target it at any path in the repo, so you can see not only the input-output operations that are occurring within each branch, but you can also see any files that have been modified on a per branch basis. And what it lets you do is make not just a file system explorer, but a process system explorer, so you can actually stream down all the different processes as they occur. It's up to the developer to not get drowned if they do 1,000 parallel calls and then the browser's like, that's sort of not my problem. But it also lets you do a on-demand file system explorer, so you can be like, here's a directory, and then you list the directory and drill down, so you can actually have visibility into your files. And that's sort of the main thrust of what I've been doing, because if I can get visibility into the files, I can get it into the input-output system as well, which will make my debugging significantly easier, because right now it's very much fire and then interpret the ultimate end result, as opposed to fire and read the file system state at each intermediary state along the way, at each commit.
Yeah.
And so one of the issues I had with the old design was that basically a block explorer was hard to make generically. It had to be made specifically for just the input-output actions within the blockchain. Whereas in this system, the block explorer, in inverted commas, is just a file explorer, and you can read the I/O of the system as well as all of the data of the system using the exact same system calls and functions, which is cool. And then you can take that and push it back to GitHub, and then you'll be able to do whatever you want with it after that. But things are going really well. It's just I keep getting snagged on kind of annoying bugs that take half a day to solve. Like my last one that was incredibly frustrating was the Git library that I'm using. It uses a SHA-1 hash for all of the files in the system, and it also writes down what the latest commit hash was to the disk. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll read that from the disk each time I want it. when I read it in, it came in with a new line character on the end. And when I sent that into the Git library to be like, hey, here's my branch, like, tell me what files are on it, the library had a bug where if you put in something that didn't match a SHA-1 hash, and it was only really testing the length, and so I sent in 41 characters, including the new line, and then it would do this weird thing where it would fail silently and use a default value of the hash of an empty directory every time. And so it was
that's not helpful.
No, it wasn't. It was the opposite of helpful. And so it was like failing silently in this weird case, and it just kept looking like a blank directory, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But I filed another bug with the library authors and was like, well, can't complain because they're the best thing around, but man, that's annoying. So there's that. Hitting just no bugs in Deno. Like, Deno does what it says on the label. Very reliable. Extraordinarily fast.
Have you seen anything more about whether we can restrict the data to a certain geography?
Sorry? What do you mean?
With Deno, can you choose regions and so on?
You can choose read regions for the KV store, but at the moment there's only one. Shit, I'll just classic, because
the reason I'm asking is got a investor meeting with Full Spectrum at 12 with their CTO, and he's gonna ask.
Full Spectrum's got a CTO now?
No. It's a CTO of the investor group, the fund.
Oh, right. Hey, you said that they landed money. Did they not land money?
They did not land money. That money turned out to be horrifically punitive.
Oh, dear. Okay. All right.
It's still in the cards, but it's probably about 6 months away.
Yeah, always seems about that, hey? Not to be a pedantic twit, but that's not just this example, but also many other examples in the startup world. That's basically
they have no money. Yeah, they have no money.
Okay, so here's my right region. I think if I get the enterprise plan, I can change the right region.
Okay.
But here's the read regions. I can replicate to all these read regions, but all that really does is help with query latency.
All right. Okay. So presumably there's going to be a London, there's going to be an Ireland.
Well, Frankfurt and yeah. I mean, they'll expand it. There's also these are the regions that they operate in. So, there. Blah 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 blah. None of that's what I want. It all looks funny on a small screen. Sorry about that. What was the reason for the region request?
Because of GDPR, you need to be able to put it into a jurisdiction that allows GDPR. So you need to be able to say
yeah, absolutely. So you want GDPR, like SOC 2 compliance and all that kind of crap, right? Yeah. So that comes in. Hang on. Give me a second. Normally, this hamburger menu is not a hamburger menu. It's across the top of my page, and that's why I'm confused. Okay. So get rid of my unhelpful bookmarks. There we go. So we have, if we got the...
Well, I see it there. You just scroll past it, select region.
There. Compliance. SOC 2 Type 1 and DPA. So if you get the enterprise plan, then you can have those compliance.
Yep, that's good enough.
Things, yeah, and then regions, you can select your region, but it doesn't guarantee that the data doesn't move around within the regions. So even though you can sort of say, hey, my region is Frankfurt, they're not giving you the guarantee that it isn't being moved elsewhere unless you get the these compliance things here.
But the main point you've answered, which is it's available. You just have to shell out for it.
You just got to pay the big bucks, yeah, because that's sort of a pain. They also allow you to run on-prem under the enterprise plan. So I don't know how they pull that one off, but whatever.
Sounds expensive. Okay.
It sounds horrifically expensive. Anywhere they don't show the price, you're always like, ouch.
Yeah. Whenever they say contact us, it's like,
call us.
Shit,
call us for reaming. So, but I mean, deploy's going good. It is still technically beta. So what's
but that's done. That's a done thing now, isn't it? Everything's beta all the way.
Well, this is actually beta. So you may have KV services went down in US East 4. That would be a problem. That lasted for 30 minutes.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it just means
it's not great. Yeah, but I mean, they'll give you They'll give you 3 nines worth of uptime. It's better than nothing.
Well, none of the stuff I'm talking to these guys about is banking software. The worst thing that can happen with 3 nines is someone needs to take the afternoon off. You know, that'd be the absolute worst.
What is 99.95%?
I think that's about 4 days a month or something like that.
No, it's not. It's that's minutes.
That's very helpful, isn't it? Going above and beyond.
It stopped being lazy, like they promised. Now it's a little too diligent, and I sort of 4 hours and 23 minutes of downtime. That could happen at any time.
Yeah. It's a rolling year. Okay.
So, hopefully it's in the night.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good for a bank, but that'd be fine for anyone else.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, they don't. Their status seems good. Their response time is good. I don't know if it really matters to even try to mitigate that with other backup plans. But
no, it absolutely doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can have your regional compliance and reasonable uptime. I haven't yet hit the performance limits of their cloud, so the limiting factor for me is being able to actually make 10,000 AI calls a minute. But I haven't tuned our system to the point where it can do that yet. I'm just simply working on getting it up so you can start using multi-bot interactions. That's all. But that's sort of one of the hazards that I have, because I'm like, these kind of infrastructure providers, they always try and throttle to their favor, so they'll sort of be sluggish. Like, it'll be like a slow start. It won't burst rapidly. It'll like kind of gradually go up, and then they'll always try to hold the high watermark of the queue quite high.
Yeah.
So it might not be. I don't know what the shape of that smoothing is going to be, and that's going to really affect what the experience of the user is, because you'll sort of see that slow start and then the quick finish and whatever. So I guess that's not a fatal thing. That's just a nicety. Thing. The Assistance API from OpenAI now supports streaming, but I still think it's useless. So I'm sticking to the chat completions API, because Assistance is a pain because they manage the thread for you, and you can't manipulate the thread, and we do a lot of thread. We mess with the thread.
Yeah. It's just, it was clunky and a bit naff, and there's I'm actually getting quite good response from Crew AI actually.
Okay, well that's good. Let's just call it tech debt, but I owe us a better file system. So you can see in the KV store, you might laugh, but every time it writes a commit, it writes a full binary snapshot of the file system at that point in time. Yeah, so that gets expensive, but so is my time. But I need to make a backing store for it, and I'll show you sort of why or how. So this is the actual Git folder structure, and Git has this thing where it takes the first 2 digits of the SHA-1 hash of each object and then makes a folder of it. And it's for scaling purposes. The work I have to do, that I'm deferring until as late as possible, is I need to make, in the file system that we use, I need to make each one of these objects be an object in the KV store, which means that I don't need to store a snapshot every time. Each repo is this one massive KV store that all the objects are always there. And so once I do that, I think it's anywhere from 2 to 5 days worth of dicking around. But once I've got that installed, then the let's call it the write amplification factor of each action goes down considerably. Right now, the write amplification factor is horrific for what we're doing, but it'll work okay for the small loads that we're talking about. But as soon as we want to do anything remotely serious, I need to take that time and pass straight through to the KV store rather than going to the NRAM file system and then snapshotting that and putting that in the store. But that involves painful things like mimicking all the system calls that the file system will make and intercepting them, and then fulfilling them with database writes. So not something I look forward to, but we'll get there. Yeah. So this is that head file that I was talking to you about. And it points to this file. And what I didn't know is, you see the number 2 there, it actually has a new line in it, which was slipped my eye when I first...
How long did that take to sort?
4 hours. That was 4 hours. Yeah.
4 hours or something that literally is invisible.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, at least it wasn't a semicolon. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, the cloud deployment works well for small usage, and the reading of it works well for commits. The next thing I'd like to do is get streaming going, but I'll just bump that out as long as I can, because streaming, you don't need streaming, you need working, and then streaming is a nicety later. So we'll focus on that. Probably the first thing you'll see land, I expect in the next couple of days, will be being able to just have a single chat with a single bot making tool calls. And then I'll expand that out to multiple branches. Something that is working right now, that works pretty good, is session creation. So you can be in the browser and you open a new tab, it makes a new session. In the cloud deployment, it generates a new session branch and then sends that down to the browser, and now you're in an isolated branch. You can do anything you like. You won't affect the other tab.
Does it take the previous session? So if you were branching the previous session?
No. I can make it do that if you, but that'll be part of the get interaction commands. So you'll be able to say, show me all my sessions, and it's like, here's your list, and then you like merge this one into my current one, or merge this one into that one, and then it will do the get operation for you. So in that way you can do that. I expect to be able to do things like rolling back in history and then forking from that point. So you're like, here's my session, go back to here, this point in time, start a new session from there, and then make a branch. But we'll get into that once you start using it and telling me what the what the issues are. That repo you sent me of Fabric, those look exactly like helps, but what they've done is they've made up their own help format. And so I think that what we can do is we can maybe adopt their format, or make a translator for us, because if we can show them that we can actually house, run, and publicize their basically their prompt engineering, then I think that's a better home for what they're doing, rather than asking users to install Python, download a Python script, run this, run that, get some API keys, welcome to the command line. It's like, well, you can just have this, you can put them here. So they sound like a great candidate for talking to about, giving them credit and giving them a revenue stream for their prompt engineering. But I also think that looking at their commit history of their repo, I think it would actually serve very well as a basis for some ambient attribution calculations. So being able to say, if I go here and then I go blame, this has had no work done on it. It hasn't either. I'm just trying to find one that's Look, I don't know what happened, but I must have sat in like an ant's nest or something. I just keep getting ants. Before you ask, no, I have not been smoking crack or anything like that. Just, they are actual ants.
As long as they're not under your skin, fine.
maybe this one? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's so that's that guy. This is an example of where someone contributed to an NL thing here. And that's, I think that rolled back in time. Yeah, so right, so I guess it's annoyingly one-sided in that it's, you know, mostly this guy making all the commits, but the thing is that we can actually use this prompting as a basis for trying to figure out, well, you know, how much is that correction worth, and how much was this commit worth 3 weeks ago versus some of the older stuff, and why is it better or worse?
Well, it's got all the raw information there. I do like their prompting style.
I like it too. I like it too.
Seems to be quite tight.
I don't know about how they keep saying take a deep breath all the time. I'm like, look, if that turned out to work, fine. Yeah. But so I think that first of all we can induct all of these patterns as a basis for our helps that are much more general than just the ones that we were trying to make. And then if we can find some other similar guys to this guy and be like, you know, hey, we're all doing the same thing. We just simply have a place to host it on the cloud. So, and, you know, we can attach a charge to that. So, I think that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, on this side, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. The multi-agent on Crew AI seems to be pretty good.
Right.
I've been going around in circles and trying to pull information out of GitHub. Now, one of the reasons for that is I've been trying to use only bots to write the code. And there are a few real irritating things. For example, every time you ask it to make a small change, it changes variable names and so on.
Yeah, like it doesn't have good it doesn't have good stability. Like it doesn't favor stability.
Right. And it's small things as well, stuff you'd miss. And so if you're working on you know, a tool that's referred to by something else and just changes the name of the tool.
Yeah, so the way I was getting around that is to I made a tool that only it took in like a line count. And so you tell the bot to generate just a snippet of what it wants to replace instead of each time you make it write out the whole thing from start to finish.
Oh, on top of that, so you just say only consider
give me the patch for this to update just this segment. You back? Hey.
I don't know if that was you or me. Probably me.
I'm gonna blame you. That sounded like you. Starlink.
Yeah, that's quite good strategy. So it's been a complete pain in the arse. At the moment, I'm coming across problems because GitHub paginates the response, and AI seems to be unable to sort that out.
Right.
But I'm getting a response. It just happens to be. Yeah,
can you show me an example of what it's trying to do?
Yeah, sure. Hold a second. Okay, so let's see if this actually works. You see the output here. So it's trying to pull in GitHub, cycle through the responses, and all this checks out and so on. But just see in a second.
Are you trying to get? Are you trying to get blame info?
At the moment, I'm just trying to get basic info, but of the commits over the last month. So, last 30 days worth of commits, and all I'm asking for is
what's the URL that you're trying to make? Okay, have you given it the docs for that URL?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's how it started off. Now, what I did was, well, actually, no, I didn't give it the docs. What I did is say, "Do you know about GitHub?"
Don't believe it. It always says it knows about everything.
And then I asked, okay, so how to do this, and then writing some code to do this, and I've gone through a number of cycles. I'll show you. Where is it? No, that's not it. This one. So it's gone through. Do you know about? Yep. Okay. So here's the information available. Great. Fine. Write me something that does this. This is what is claiming that it can do. I've not cut and paste or given it anything else. And generates this, and these are all the number of iterations I've gone through. Now, what you see is it successfully returns. Now, I'm not. I'll find out what the fuck it's doing, but the main point is every time it's like, yeah, that's almost right, but can you do this? Then it changes far more of the code, which is the previous problem, far more of the code than it needs to, and then that breaks everything else. So now the reason I'm trying to do this through AI as opposed to writing it is, number one, I'm shit at writing code. It would take far longer anyway. And number two, what I want is to start understanding how you talk to these things for making isolates and tools and so on.
Right.
So there I found another tool which is doing it in a better way than.
Okay, was it just commits that you were after?
Yeah, but that was just a starter. Just looking to.
Yeah. Okay. So the way to do it is, let me just grab the screen back off you.
Mm-hmm.
How do I take from you? Oh yeah, here we are.
Sorry, I can
there you go. No, it's all good. I got it. Okay. Can you see that? Yep. So this is the API docs for that call. If you copy this and put that in your prompt, then you will get a significantly better output.
Are these available in any kind of text format?
Like what? This is text?
The docs. Yeah, no, but as opposed to just copying all this down into.
Shit, I don't know. All I did was I copied it straight off this page, and then by giving the bot just the tools to make a post request, it was able to navigate successfully through and do what I wanted. which I thought was amazing, but I soon got over the amazement and was like, what else can it do? So if you want it to make intelligent calls out to the API, the best way is to actually give it the docs as well.
Right.
But
well, maybe that's
yeah.
Well, just been assuming it's read these docs.
No, it doesn't. It never seems to. It never seems to read the docs and then what's the word for it? Like its memory is not specific. Like it feels like I'm just having like a complete wild ass guess, but it feels like the inference it uses to get the next word is also weighted slightly by all the rest of the stuff it's ever read. And so it's always slightly fuzzy. It's never like the docs. Like it doesn't know that what it should do is only pay attention to the docs that it read and nothing else. It never seems to do that. The probabilities appear to take into consideration many other sources as well. However, if you include in the sys prompt this doc right here, then you override everything that it was trained on, and it will function 100% from that doc.
Okay.
Such was my experience anyway.
Yeah, good I go. But there is another tool called Pythagora, which I was using yesterday. I'm going to apply this. It seems to be pretty good. I don't know if you want to search Pythagora. I mean, it's just the webpage and get it up here as well.
Do you want to? I'll stop. I'll get off.
No. I'm trying to peer underneath my visor to get this. Okay, this is blah blah blah. Where's the actual page? Hold on. I'll share it anyway. No, this is not the page that I was trying to find, but it is the same guys. They seem to be quite well funded, and what they've done is they've created a bot swarm that does a very good job of being. Seems to be a very good job of being a dev team.
Right.
So instead of talking to a single bot, you're now talking to a dev team. So you're effectively talking to the product manager bot. The product manager bot then goes off to talk to the lead dev. The lead dev then spawns off a whole bunch of sub-processes. Then it goes to quality. They run their own tests, and they chat backwards and forwards. And I was using this yesterday, and it's pretty good actually.
Okay.
So anyway, I was going to try that as opposed to just pistol whipping a single bot into doing it.
Okay.
And it's integrated and so on.
And what is the goal of this effort that you're making?
Well, what I'm trying to do, this is still attribution, but we're still in the first step. So what I need to do is get the suitable information from GitHub into an attribution stack.
What is the information that you're trying to pull?
Well, at the start, I'm just going to go with who's done what files have they touched, what's the delta.
Okay, why don't you skip all that and then just try and make a ask ChatGPT to generate some synthetic data that matches what you want.
Yeah,
and run
yeah,
with that, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, actually, I've done that in the past, and it's been quite successful. So this was like the next step from that one.
Oh, I
Um,
see. Okay,
yeah,
okay, all right.
but this synthetic data is only so true. Really, what you want is um, sticking at the like the last
We want to
repo
we want to
traffic.
understand how to reason about the relative value of different commits to natural language programs.
Yeah,
That's really what we want. Um,
yeah,
you should be able to. So my initial experience were just simply I completely made up the what I was doing, and then I was able to get good responses based on that.
yeah, yeah. As I say, I've done that cycle of give us a stack rank based on these contributions, and return it, and so on.
Right?
That part is, I wouldn't say it's easy enough, because then I really need a kind of human in the loop to say yes, this is right or this is wrong, and so on.
Yep.
But it gives an answer, straight out of the box. It almost gives you an answer.
Right. Okay. Well, that's
Um,
cool.
so that's pretty easy. What I was trying to do here is to get into the nuance of actually how a repo or the information in the repo is, and getting the bots
Yep.
to look at that. And then after the final part of that one is to, well, how do we get some kind of confidence that the AI is just not hallucinating a stack rank, for example, or a percentage contribution.
Right. So have you got a bot that disagrees with another bot about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
How
yeah,
did
yeah.
that go?
Yeah, pretty good actually.
Did they
Um,
did they settle or did they continue to diverge?
no, they settled, but there seemed to be a preference for hierarchy. So I had the the kind of the manager, the top, kicking off. Okay, you go and do your initial assessment, and then hand it off to this guy. And these two guys chatted a lot, and then it came back. They did converge on an answer and put it back up to the first LLM,
Mm,
but it seemed to be that it was the guy who created the question to ask the quality guy
right.
had the preference. So
So
it seemed,
first in, first served, right?
yeah, yeah. So
Which is
it does
not
seem to
this is
be.
not what we want, really.
No, no, it seems to be. If you ask the question, you get to decide the final answer. So
Right.
you're asking advice. You're not getting overruled.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
so there's a bit of work there, because really what we want is the judge thing, and probably we need to put um, a series of um, groups of tasks. So we've got at the moment uh, it's almost trivial to put in, uh, get data, analyze the data, stack
Right.
rank it, give me a score, and
Right.
then um, then hand it off to quality. Now,
But
probably
do
what we want to
you
do
do
is to
you
hand it back
believe
up.
the output? Would you accept the output that it gave?
Yeah, yeah. So I've been running non GitHub things through it. That is a bit easier to spot. So been running plain text through it, for example, saying mark this out of 10 for whether it's gibberish, or
Right.
what the reading age is, and so
Right.
on.
But was that on a complete item, or was that where there was interlaced contributions from different people?
It was interlaced by me. So what I did was actually pulled some stuff from Hansard, and then put in a separate document which had my edits, but the original full text, and saying these are my edits.
Right.
Um, and so is the one of the one I did was which is better, before or after?
Ah. So you did before and after, and then based on which one was better,
Yeah.
asked it to indicate the value of the improvement.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly. And that was easier to do than with the GitHub stuff because I was pulling text
Mm.
that was clean and good, and then I was just adding in complete bollocks in the middle of it, you know, from ASDF or, inserted a joke in the middle of it and so on. And it was consistently getting, no, this guy's gone off on one with this joke. This one's better. So it's pretty consistent at that kind of needle in the haystack kind of thing,
Mm.
And I wasn't asking it about the text. I was asking it, which one is more coherent, which one has fewer logical inconsistencies, fewer fallacies, and so on. And it was coming back with its reasoning as well, which is quite interesting. So it's like A and B. A is better because this guy's got typos in the middle of it, and he's put a joke in the middle of it, and
Right.
his logic is off.
Right.
So seems to be
Right,
quite
okay.
comparing.
Right. That begs an interesting question, because if the quality of a piece of work was also processed by an agent, such as the fallacy checker, how does that affect your attribution? Like if it was pretty good, but the fallacy checker corrected some things, who gets the attribution for the work of the fallacy checker?
Well, that's something we went through last time, wasn't it? I've got up on the board here. I think I was making the argument that there's no difference between edits made and committed by a human and edits made by a bot. And by a bot, it could be a
Right. Right.
Then
So the bot
degrades to who created the bot.
So the bot triggered. The user triggered the bot with the submission. The bot ran and created value based on that seed.
Yep.
And so there's attribution due to the bot and to the human, even though the human was flawed.
Well, absolutely. And actually, I think this is a very powerful thing because I'm, the biggest swarm I've got at the moment is like 5 bots. If someone swapped a bot out of one of those 5 and improved the performance, then they should get the attribution. I'd want the attribution for the rest 4, and if all 5 improved Dave's, letter to his mum, then Dave should get something for the original input, but the bot swarm should cascade its attribution to its original creator.
Okay, how? Okay, so that fuck. So that's a comparison I'm not sure how to answer. What is the relative value between an AI produced piece of work and the human that puts something in?
I've kind of gone through the Gordian knot thing of that one, and saying there's no difference between them.
That's not right though. That's absolutely not right, because the human brings guaranteed novelty. Like, humans are very hard to, like, it's always going to be novel. The machine is always going to be inferred from previous learnings.
Yes, however, the machine brings in the corpus of all human knowledge.
So you're telling me that in Dave's letter to his mum, in that example, Dave could end up with 5% the attribution, and this bot swarm gets 95%?
Well, no, I'm saying as a working premise, just because I don't have another solution. It's like the person who created the text to start with is dealing with a bot, and they're co-contributors, so they get 50-50. Now, how that bot uses other bots and so on cascades down, and they're all split into shares all the way down. But as soon as Dave asks the bot, then you're working with the bot. Now, there's lots of nuances there. If the bot doesn't actually make any changes, or none of the changes are suitable, then it's like, well, maybe it's not worth it, and so on. But just for now, I'm just going with the idea that there's no difference between a human and a bot. So, for example, say if two humans work on the same letter, there's nuances we could go down to saying, well, all the second human has done is said
is right. So the original seed has different weight than the additive work that was done afterwards.
Yeah, but these are weights. So with lack of anything else, if you interact with any other entity,
okay. Look, I'm reluctant, but I can't help but agree. It makes sense what you say.
But what it does do is, attribution-wise, if you can get a really good bot, like the Fabric guys, you get a really good bot.
Yeah, that's right.
You're gonna get,
Okay, so just to pose an awkward question, how much is due to OpenAI?
Yeah. Fuck it, they're getting the cycles.
That's not fair, Mr. Maxwell.
Well, if you're using, for example, an open source model, then it becomes, slightly more.
Right, but what our calculation must include is it takes into account its view of what the attribution should be, and then it subtracts what was charged. So if it thinks that OpenAI should have been given $1, but OpenAI charged $2, then OpenAI is at a deficit of 1.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree, but ultimately, I'm kind of pursuing this idea that it's quite fruitful to compare two things, as opposed to say, okay, you've just made a change to this, and how is it used in the future? It's mostly what's the improvement based on what was there before, and if it's nothing, then it's 100%. If someone comes and changes it, it's like
right. Yeah. Okay. So basically, an iterative approach that builds it up commit by commit, as opposed to trying to do this one big bang at the end.
Yeah.
You're just sort of incrementally improving it.
Yeah. What was the delta at each point? And so if Dave writes a letter to his mum, puts into AI, and it comes back just saying "Love you, mum" at the end, we've got two things to compare. And cost of adding "Love you, mum," who knows? Maybe there's 1,000 bots, getting together, over a hash pipe trying to figure that one out.
Right.
But it's the actual delta that we're dealing with, not the great complexity of bots talking to bots all the way down.
Man, those are some interesting questions. Okay.
Because there's the reason I did that was I was looking at the chattiness of bots, and so if you had even a small team, they chat in amongst each other, and so you can't really do anything like the weight of chats, or you can't say.
So you're basically discarding the working.
Yeah.
And it's like output only, and output compared to previous output.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
All right. So how would you balance a situation where Dave and Hal are going back and forth and iterating between each other, and you're trying to attribute to Hal and the bot when they've done a bunch of back and forth? Is that commit?
Yeah. The commit's the thing, because say if Dave passes.
No, that's a problem. That's a problem, because if if you're using a bot to write a tool or write something, you're never committing, you're only chatting, and then the commit is ultimately made at the end. What do you do then?
Oh, I see. Sorry, I was assuming each change which was used, a change being defined. Sorry, I used commit wrongly. A change defined is where you don't go backwards, you go forwards. So it's like, okay,
Right, but what about all the back and forth that happens? It's like ding 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 ding, and then not actually. There's no change to the thing of value. It's just.
Well, I think that's probably not adding value. I don't know.
Right.
For example,
Yeah. Okay. So you go back and forth about this letter that you're trying to write.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, there's a new iteration spat out at the end. How would you split the improvement from that version to the initial version between the agents that interacted to produce this new version when one's a human and one's a bot?
No, you. Well, at the moment, and this is definitely not right. What I'm doing is not waiting until the end to compare to the first. I'm just doing every time there's a change where you move forward. I'm assuming that change is there.
Okay.
And there's value attached to that. Now, it could be that that change subsequently is removed, but that value is still there because it's triggering new ideas.
Christ Almighty, that's complicated. Fuck.
Yeah, we're talking about innovation.
That is a nightmare. That's too much calculation.
Well, here's a thought actually.
Fuck, that's irritating.
We should be able to get attribution. Maybe I'll ditch the GitHub stuff for now. Maybe the thing is to get a bot swarm just to work on a piece of text, and then see how often, because you can at the moment it's easy enough to get a bot swarm to.
I think that the attribution calculation should be done. Should be done at the end of each thread, because you've got all the tokens. The entire chat history has been loaded up into the context window, and at that point, you're like, how much did this interaction, so if this was the commit of the original doc and this was the commit of the resulting doc, then in between, if you loaded up the whole chat history and looked at it as one document and then said, of the improvement from here to here, take that improvement and figure out using this chat history who was due. Then at least you're not dealing with this intermediary calculation. You're waiting until a new version has been.
That'd be worth trying, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And because you've always got the thread. The thread's always present.
Yeah.
Because that's how the conversation maintains coherence. And so if the final call you make is just taking all of the back and forth and then generating attribution, that's at least simpler.
It would give an answer, wouldn't it?
An answer, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, how about I stop fucking around with GitHub?
Ditch that, man. Just the issues that are of value to us are ones that are like these kinds of curly problems.
Yeah.
Purely synthetic data is absolutely fine. Preferably like different synthetic data to illustrate each different like thorny part, because what I'm looking for is starting points so that once we have the operating system, then we can sort of explore each, sink deep on each particular problem area. But,
yeah, okay.
like right now, this is like 3 major problem areas that you've shown, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool, not fatal, but each one needs study.
Yeah.
And so if you could find more of those and examples of how that works, then it genuinely is starting to feel like there's a very limited number of ways that you can plausibly approach the problem. That's really what I'm after. I'm trying to see how much structure in our design is actually defined by the problem itself, because there's a case to be made that, commit to commit is the only way to do it, because if you look at it at the end, you can't possibly understand the evolution. Like, you can't understand things that got blanked.
Yeah.
Right.
And what you're saying is it's impractical to have definition of a commit of that, accepting it by inference of moving forward to the next topic, because topic change is quite easy to do. So say if you're writing a letter, and the first conversation is, you've forgotten your address at the top left hand corner, and then it's like, okay, fine, valid. Okay, your first paragraph is this. The very fact you're no longer talking about address assumes a commit.
Yeah, but I'd like to defer that, because if you cut the problem down too small, you can also lose information as well, because it's like a rounding error. Like, if you took the whole thing and say there was 10 topics that were covered, and then you did attribution only for each of the 10 topics, I guarantee you it would not sum up to the full attribution.
No, so there's kind of synergy in the whole piece.
The more you can defer this, so that the commit is like a bit more, it's kind of like asking if the user wants to click the save button, and implicitly using that confirmation as a statement of something of value has occurred, and therefore the accounting will kick in. Because if you do it too small, you miss the you miss out on the interaction of the multiple topics together. Like, the fact that they were all in the same stack added some value of some kind, but you wouldn't get that if you only analyze them piece by piece.
Okay.
So that...
Well, if we drop GitHub and let's just go straight into text, so it's very easy to generate artificial data for that. I'll try 2 things for the next time. The first one, I'll try the whole session and start and end only, and then I'll look at doing something like in Google Docs, when you've got a document, someone proposes changes, and then a change is accepted. That's like an intermediary step. So I'll give it synthetic data about here's a number of steps, and use the sessions between each.
Right. Okay, that sounds good. It also almost begs the question that part of the quality control aspect of the system should be, or could be, determining when's a good time to save or autosave as well. Like when it's like, well, I've watched this conversation and now the topic has drifted wildly, and so I'm going to go ahead and say that this topic is closed in the background. so that we can do an attribution calculation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like, as the user,
Well,
I
that would
should.
be doable, wouldn't it? Because what you
Right.
do there is your quality guardian would be keeping a running score.
Yeah, the quality guardian is actually outside of the conversation and is
Yeah.
really just looking at the artifact that was produced. And when the quality guardian determines that this is better than that, that's when it's like commit.
Yeah, and better than that could be a threshold. Say if it's got 1 out of 1,000. Every time you go
Mm,
up by 100, it's like
mm,
you guys good. I'm gonna.
mm.
That's going to be the cutoff point.
Right.
Now, interesting
And that,
enough, Dave and the bots could then fuck it up, and the quality score could go down after that.
that's fine. That's perfectly okay.
That's interesting.
Mm.
Because it could be even if you were looking at the quality score each time, you could go into a local minima
Yeah.
or a local maxima, whichever you want to. If you want to be an optimist or a pessimist.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
that's pretty
All
cool.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a relief because I'm sick and tired of trying to pistol whip this.
Yeah, don't worry about that because I have to do all that as a matter of course with our platform anyway. So like
Yeah.
those features will come. You just need to survive without them, and then they'll sort of turn up and they'll just be there for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if there's some kind of analog to code I could do. For example, the repo would be an analog to say a book. Files would be an analog to chapters. Commits would be changes to chapters. That might be a much easier way of doing it.
Yeah, and let's not lose sight of the fact that the true value is only apparent once it gets used as well. So just
Yeah.
because you can have like this great book, like I don't know, it, if someone only reads one chapter, it's sort of,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
a
actually,
different.
yeah, no, that I think stands up. But you're quite right. If say if this book was a web page, a website instead, and one page was getting hammered and the rest ignored, then you got usage information.
Yeah, it's the usage contribution, fine, but attribution needs usage.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
That
Well,
simplified my life a bit. Yeah.
I'll leave it there for the moment.
Yeah. Cool.
Eh?
All right.